Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to Stop Sabotaging Yourself web series. My name is Simone Elbow, the Limitless Life Coach. So good to have you a part of this series that we're doing for the next 8 days. Well, we have 5 more days. We're already on night number 3, and we're talking about the 8 things you do to block your own success. And so I'm really excited about how everything is going and all of the interaction and the feedback that I'm getting, that people are really enjoying the sessions. They're really finding it enlightening. And the reason I'm doing it is because, as I mentioned, we're in the last quarter of the year, and we tend to use this time of the year to reflect and to think about what we want next. And even though we're in a pandemic and people are saying, this is not the time to plan, I think that we still need to plan. When we are purposeful people, it is very important for us to remain purposeful. And we do that through planning our lives and getting involved with our own life, taking control. That's what we've been talking about for the last 2 nights already. It's all about taking control of your life, where we feel that circumstances and people and everything else has more power over our life than we actually do. And on the first night number 1, the first thing that blocks our own success is the blame game. We talked about how we blame ourselves, we blame other people, we blame circumstances, things that may or may not be outside of our control. We say, hey, this is that thing's fault, and that is why I can't get ahead. That was number 1. And the second thing was procrastination and perfectionism. And we talked about how when we procrastinate, this blocks our success because we don't make the moves that we need to make. We don't do what we need to do in the timing that we need to do it. And so we miss it. We don't act. We don't do what we're supposed to do. And we miss out on opportunities. And last night, I also shared a resource for you. And that is the guide for your journaling guide to stopping the habit and the lifestyle of procrastination. And a lot of you did follow through and you downloaded your guide. And so I hope that you're using that to journal and to reflect on when you are procrastinating, what you're doing, why you're doing it, when you're doing it, and how you can now bridge the gap between the tendency to procrastinate and then moving toward action, because the cure to procrastination is action, right? Shut up and ship it. So if you still want the guide, it's still available for you for free during these 8 sessions. All you need to do is to use that website address and that coupon code STOP100, and you can download that journaling guide absolutely free. And so, as I mentioned before, I like to jump right into the meat of things. I don't like to do a whole lot of long preamble and waiting for people to sign on. If you miss it, then you'll catch it on the replay. That's my philosophy. Because if I spend the first 10 minutes just waiting for people to get in the room, then the people who are here, you're all going somewhere else. So are you ready? Let me know. Are you ready for number 3? The third thing that we do to sabotage and block our own success. And I am going to just share my screen so that we can get right into the meat of this. And please share your feedback. If you have been tuning in for the last 2 nights, let me know how it's been going. If you've actually been able to apply the things that we've been talking about, because that's the kick of this. This is how we self-sabotage. We hear information, we're inspired, we're motivated, and then we go right back to our default setting. We go right back to doing the things that we were always doing. And what's the point? And this is why we don't change and we don't see change in our lives. And as I mentioned before, I thought it important to do this because as we plan and move forward for our next, then, we have to figure out those things in us that stop us from really being successful, that stop us from really figuring out, what is it? What is it that I need to do to move forward in my life? I don't know about you, but I get tired of feeling stuck. I get tired of feeling like I'm not moving forward. I'm not making the progress that I need to make. There's more inside of me and I need to tap into it and I need to move forward. And a lot of times it's easy to say that it's something else other than ourselves. Sometimes it might be, but most times it's us. It's us not being able to get a grip on our own selves and our habits and just creating structure in our lives for success. So hello to Trisha. I'm glad you made it. Karanika, you've been here all week. Welcome, welcome, welcome back to you. And I can need a little hookup for the weekend. This is becoming a regular weekend thing. So Karanika, make sure give me my hookup, man, for the weekend. So here we go. I'm wondering if you'll be able to guess what we are going to be talking about tonight. Do you have a tendency to start something and then stop? Talk to me now. Be real. Be real. Tell me the truth. Do you have the tendency to start something and then you stop? Is that your tendency? If so, then drum roll, please. Dun, 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 dun. Answer this question. How many unattempted or unfinished projects or goals do you have? I'm afraid to even answer this question for myself. I think that I've started, I don't know, at least about 5 books that I'm in the middle of not only reading, but also writing for myself. I have this is one of, I'm a journal junkie. And so I have this, I'm actually almost to the end of this. This is all I have left. And actually just a few pages of this because I've written in the back. And so I have tons of plans and ideas and notes and different things that I wanted to do through the course of the year and things that I have done. So some of the stuff is completed, but a lot of it is brainstorming and just trying to figure things out. And so what things have you desired to do that you haven't done? What things have you desired to do that you haven't done? Now, maybe you haven't even attempted it. Maybe you haven't just you might in the idea mode, right? Just in the idea mode, and you haven't completed, and or you have started it but you haven't completed. That's what I meant to say. So you have not attempted it. You have the idea phase. Hey, welcome back, Vanessa. Hi, Chef. Good to see you. And Deidre, that's you. Unfinished. Now, there's a difference. Is it unattempted or unfinished? That's what I want to hear. Is it unattempted or unfinished? There's a difference. Because unattempted means that you don't start anything. So you fall in that category of thinking, planning, writing down ideas, brainstorming, and you never start. Or if you're in the unfinished category, you started, You get to a certain point and then you drop it for whatever reason. So, how many unattempted projects or goals do you have? Less than 5, between 5 and 10, more than 10. And it's very possible because a lot of people, as part of the problem, I found that a lot of times people write too many goals. And when you write too many goals, then you push into what we talked about last night, which is procrastination, because now you feel overwhelmed. And when you feel overwhelmed, you shut down and you say, well, you know what? This is too much for me. And then we start doing all sorts of other things, and then we just drop everything. Right? And so it's very important for you to really do this self-assessment. How many unattempted or unfinished projects or goals do you have? Very important to do this self-assessment. And remember, when I talked about in the first night, awareness is the key to change. You have to know where you are. You have to know what you have to unfreeze. Remember, I talked about that Lewin's change model or theory of change, that you have to disrupt where you are right now in order to make the change and then to solidify the change, right? Or reinforce that change. So we have to have a good idea of where we are. There's no shame in the game. Trust me, you are not the only one. And if you ever notice anything about me, I'm the first to confess that I am guilty. I am guilty. I am on this journey along with you. It's just that I have really dug into it to figure out why, because I'm just, as I said in the very beginning, sick and tired of being sick and tired. Sick and tired of feeling stuck. Sick and tired of not being able to move forward. So we have to examine where we are with this. And so you probably guessed it. Number 3 thing that we do to block our success is inconsistency. Inconsistency. Committed to not commit. Now that may sound like that doesn't even make sense, right? Because you may say, well, if I'm not committed, then I'm not committed. But to not commit is a commitment. You made a commitment to not be true to yourself. You've made a commitment to not be consistent. You've made a commitment to not complete what you started. And you made a commitment to not start what you want. And you're going to see a common thread in all of these 8 things, that they are all connected. Now, some of us may be more guilty than others, guiltier, if I use the proper grammar, get back to my English teacher days, right? Some of us are guiltier than others, right? In some of these areas. But you're going to see a common thread with this. They are all connected. They're all connected because guess what? When you are not consistent, then you start to blame. You not only procrastinate, but then you start to blame. Well, I couldn't commit. I couldn't finish it because. We always have some reason why we can't finish it. We love to say that we're too busy, we too whatever, but I don't want to jump ahead of myself because that's going to be that's a clue that's going to be another one that we're going to talk about. So inconsistency is number 3, committed to not commit. Now, what does this look like? Now, I know I'm dating myself. So I'm just putting this disclaimer out there right now. But if anybody, I think I may have a couple people on the line that may remember this line. If you could tell me the original artist of this song, I'm dating myself. And y'all may even know how this song goes. Y'all millennials don't know this song. Y'all don't know this song. If y'all could get this, I would be impressed. But it goes, don't you want me, baby? Don't you want me? Oh, in my soft rock era. Forgive me. But if anybody could tell me who did that song in the 80s, I'm going to give you a prize. But the reason why that came to mind when I was thinking about this, because normally when we think about commitment, we think about it in terms of a relationship. And we would say, this person we've been talking, that's what we say in the Bahamas. We've been talking for a little while now. And it seems like she or he just doesn't want to go to that next phase of the relationship. And I'm afraid that they may have a fear of commitment. They don't want to, as we would say, take it to the next level. They don't want to dig in deeper than just going out, just chatting on the phone, just hanging out together. What is it going to take to get to that next step of commitment? Which means that we're dating exclusively, or maybe you've been dating exclusively for months and months or years. Some people date for years and years and years. And then you're like, well, what is it going to take for us to get to that next phase, which may be marriage? And so when we ask ourselves this question, why don't we want to commit? Why don't we want to commit to ourselves? Why don't we want to commit to our purpose? Why don't we want to commit to our dreams and our goals? And you may say, well, I do. I'm fully committed. I'm fully committed. If I wasn't committed, I wouldn't write the goals in the first place. If I wasn't committed, I wouldn't do all of this effort that I do to sit in these types of sessions and to read and to be a part of groups and all of these different things that I'm doing. That is a commitment. And that is true. It is a commitment. But are you fully committed? Because if you were fully committed, you wouldn't start and then stop. You wouldn't not start at all. If you think about it. So when you think about it in terms of a relationship, your dreams, your purpose, your visions, they're asking you, don't you want me, baby? Don't you want me? all of this, all of these hope and vision and passion and success and abundance and all of these things, it's waiting for you. I'm just here waiting for you, baby. Don't you want me? That's what your dreams and your goals and your vision saying to you. What is it going to take for you to commit to me? What is it going to take for you to get out of the shallows, to get off the sand and to dive in deep? So here are some of the blockers. Here are some of the things that stop us from really getting into all of this, right? So we may not be fully, it does sound familiar. Hey, I know Vanessa would know it. I know she would know that song. Not fully invested. So what do I mean by that? So even though I may have made the commitment to have a purpose, to have vision, to have goals, I still haven't really immersed myself in it. It's almost as if I've put it on the outside of me and it's not a part of me. I've put it on that shelf. It's like in the Bahamian cultural context, we understand this. And I think maybe in the Caribbean, we probably all tend to do this, right? So when we give that example of getting married and we have the bridal registry, we have so many homes where people have this china cabinet with all of what we call the good china that we got on that bridal registry. And how many of us use the good china? Or we just leave it in the china cabinet looking like the good china that's untouchable. If you're fully invested, you would actually at least take it out and use it on special occasions. You would at least take it out and use it on date night or something, somebody's birthday, for Christmas, something. But when you're not fully invested, it's almost as if you're just observing and you're not touching it. You're not getting involved with it. You're not interacting with it. It's just off to a distance. It's this thing, this elusive dream that maybe someday, if all conditions are right, remember that thing we talked about last night, perfectionism? That we're waiting on things to be perfect. We're waiting on things to be absolutely wonderful before we can get started. So if we're not fully invested in what we have defined as success for us, because that's all relative. Success for me is not success for you. Success for somebody could just be, I want time freedom. I want to situate my life in a way where I'm not tied to a 9 to 5. And normally time freedom is tied to financial freedom. Because if you have the financial freedom, then you have time freedom because you don't necessarily have to be tied to that job. We're normally just tied to the job for the paycheck. We need that steady income. But a way that we can reframe that is what we really need is a steady income. We can get a steady income without having a job. So that's a reframe for you. You don't have to have a job to have a steady income. A job helps you to have a steady income. Now, entrepreneurship, once you can get into that rhythm of getting something steady, then it's great. But sometimes it's that fear of the tough times, of the dry season, that keeps us out of entrepreneurship. And even entrepreneurship is one way of having financial freedom. So I don't want to get too off track with that, but I just want to give you an example of how we cannot be fully invested in our own dreams and vision. Okay? So this is very important for you to think about. Am I not committed? Am I not consistent about what I want to do because I'm not fully invested in this dream of mine? It's just something that's on that vision board. It's just something that's on the wall in the journal. It's just something that's there and it's on the outside of me. When I'm fully invested, I will fully immerse myself in what I want. Then we may have conflicting priorities. And so we may not make the things that we want our top priorities. So we may feel that all these other things that I have going on in my life are really my top priorities. And so you have to really assess now what's truly important. What is truly important to me? And you may say, well, you don't understand. I have family, I have work, I am trying to do this, work on this vision and all of that. It's not that easy. And it's true, it's not that easy. But whatever you really want, you are going to make time for. Whatever you really want, you are going to make space for in your life. Okay? So you have to really now examine your priorities. And sometimes when we make other things priority, it means then that there may be the last thing, which is fear. I'm putting this ahead because I'm really afraid to commit, because what does it mean now to be fully invested? So let's reframe that too. To be fully invested in your dream or your goal doesn't mean that you have to wake up tomorrow and quit your job. You can be fully committed to your vision or your dream and still be fully committed on your job too. There are so many people out there that use the income from their job. It's a stream. We talk about streams of income, but your job is a stream. It's just that people will say you need more than one stream to get your goals to happen. So that stream may be feeding and nurturing a particular aspect of your life. Maybe it's feeding your future investments, right? That's like your pension and your estate planning. Maybe you got medical insurance and it's covering those particular needs and expenses that you don't necessarily have to pay for out of your pocket, which means then that whatever you invest yourself in outside of that can be used for other things. A lot of people may follow Lisa Nichols, a motivational speaker, and she shares that in her story. She shares where when she was working and she made the decision, she committed to herself that I am going to get fully invested in my dream. And she wrote a check every pay period and she named it her dream fund or something like that. I can't remember the exact words that she used, but she named it and she put it aside and she consistently, remember me going back to that word, inconsistency. So she consistently saved toward her goal of getting off the job because she wanted to be fully invested in the bigger dream. So the job was not it, but it was serving a purpose. It was funding her dream fund. And so when she got to the place of that certain amount that she wanted saved, then she was able to make that leap. She had the padding that she needed. She had, the structure and the planning and the preparation that she needed over time to be able to make that jump. My friend Duquesa Dean, I mentioned that to you. She did the same thing. She shared her story that she planned for about 2 to 3 years on her job, doing very well. She had a great job. People would say, well, geez, why would you leave a great job to, do your own thing? But you can't question people's dream. And so she used that time. She shares that in her story. She used that time to prepare herself, to plan, to begin to build a brand, get out there, learn, get certifications. These are the things that you do while you have that stream at your disposal. So you have to now decide what is going to be my priority. So when we're talking about who is guilty and guilty and guilty, right? I'm going to talk about what I'm guilty of now. And it really is a part of my personality style that I need to always be mindful of. So sometimes what your strength is also your Achilles heel. It's also your weakness. It's your kryptonite, right? So for me, I'm very compassionate. I'm very open and giving and sharing and generous and all of these different nice, warm and fuzzy things. But all of those things work against me when it's time to make me a priority. And you could ask any of my relatives or friends who know me, and they are always pleading with me, please, Simone, take a break. Please, Simone, get some rest. Please, Simone, balance. Simone, you need to stop doing all of this stuff for other people, and you need to focus on the things that you need to focus on for yourself. I hear it all the time because they really care about me and they want to know that I'm not over committing, because that's another way to be sabotage. And that's what I would do. So I over commit to those conflicting priorities. So the things that should not be the top priorities is what I overly commit to. And I leave my personal priorities down for the last. And so you can't get ahead that way. You can't move forward that way. Okay? So it's very important that we focus on what is important for me. And I think that we have been taught that it's selfish to put yourself first. And so we see this upswing of people talking about self-love, and that self-love is not selfish, but self-love is really taking care of you so that you can take care of others effectively. So re-examine your priorities. And then the next one is fear. And we talked about fear last night when we talked about procrastination and perfectionism. That fear is really at the root of a lot of those behaviors, because we're either afraid of success, we're afraid of failure, we're afraid of feeling like we're going to be found out, which is what we call the imposter syndrome, where we feel like, what are people going to say? What are my friends going to say when I tell them, well, I can't hang out with you, or I can't talk on the phone all night because I really have something else going on here, that I'm really trying to focus on doing me. I've committed to doing this certification, or I've gone back to school, and so I can't really spend the time that I used to have doing certain things. And so we get to be afraid of other people and people's opinions and people's expectations of us. We are afraid of our own greatness. Everybody quotes, well, I shouldn't say everybody, that's a horrible generalization, but a lot of people quote Marianne Williamson's poem, that it is our greatness that we fear. It is shining too brightly. It is outshining the people around us. Anybody out there who likes to dummy down and likes to just, let me sit small. That's what we say in the Bahamas. Let me sit small, because I don't want to just be out there like that. I don't want people to notice or to think that maybe I think that I'm bigger than my britches, as we would say, as the old folks would say, right? That I feel like I'm too big for myself, that I have a big head, or that I'm arrogant. And a lot of people feel that way about people who are confident about who they are and how they want to show up in the world. Do you find when people get resentful because someone is confident? They're projecting their own inadequacies on that person. It is really true. It is proven psychologically that when you are jealous and hateful towards someone else, it is because you are envious of that quality that you claim to hate. You really desire to be as confident as that person. You really desire to want to do the things that they're doing. You look at it and like, wow, that person is out there achieving their dreams and going after what they want to go after. And look at me. I have this, I have that, and I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that, but look at them doing it. But we can't worry about those things, because whatever you do in life, it's going to make somebody mad. Have you ever discovered that? Whatever you do in life is going to turn somebody off. It doesn't matter what you do or not do. Whichever you decide is going to make somebody mad. So if you decide that you're not going to do something, you're not going to go full out after your dreams, it can make the people that really care about you and your success really angry. If you decide, I'm going to go full out, I am not going to, hold back anymore. I'm just going to let it all hang out. I don't care what anybody has to say. And then those people that jealous of you and hating on you will be mad at you for doing it. And they can say you get rich and switch. They're going to say you think you all that. I don't know what you're trying to prove. You don't deserve it, and all the other things that they're going to say. At the end of the day, we just need to commit, y'all. We just need to commit. That's it. Commit to you. That's what you're saying yes to. You're saying yes to you, saying yes to who you are, how you want to show up in the world, what you want to contribute to this world, the level of fulfillment and meaning that you want to have when you wake up in the morning and when you go to bed at night, that you feel like you could exhale. And I'm living a life that is satisfying to me. That is what you're committing to. So, what is our success strategy? And if you notice, every night, this is what we're doing. We're just talking about the thing, we're breaking it down. What are the causes? What does it look like? And then how can we overcome it? So, our success strategy for inconsistency and lack of commitment is to commit. This stuff is not confusing. This stuff is not rocket science. It's not hard. What is hard is unpacking all of these things that we've layered onto our lives to stop us from doing these things. But it's really simple. It's really simple. For number one, success blocker, the blame game, I'm going to take responsibility for my actions. Simple. I am going to take responsibility for my actions. Number two, with procrastination, I am going to take action. I take action. That's what we said last night. That was our mantra. So night number one, I take responsibility for my actions. Number two, I take action. I will not get stuck in the paralysis of analysis. I am going to make a move, even if it's not perfect. And number three tonight, I am going to commit. I commit to me. I commit to my dream. I commit to my purpose. I commit to the legacy that I want to leave this world. So how do we do that? Number one, check your level of investment. How invested are you in yourself? Am I all in? Or I just have my toe in the water? Or I'm just standing off on the sand, looking at the water? Am I in at my ankles when I need to be knee deep? Have I been knee deep for all these years and I need to get up to my neck? Am I up to my neck and just treading water? Do I need to do a deep dive and fully immerse myself? What is your level of investment in yourself? Number two, prioritize your goals. So remember, I talked about conflicting priorities. What are your goals and how do you need to prioritize them in relation to the other things that you have going on? And there is always a way. Trust me, there is always a way. So even though you may feel that you are overcommitted, like me, you have a lot of priorities, you have a lot of commitments, there are always ways that we can shift our thinking about those things. Yes, your job is important, but how many of us bring work along with us? We don't have good boundaries when it comes to work. If we have work hours, let's commit to those work hours. If we find that our workload is bleeding into the rest of our life, we have to reassess that and we have to reassess those priorities. We have to look at, how am I approaching my work? Could I delegate more? Could I spread it out better over the week? Am I taking on too much? Do I need to say no? What is it that I'm doing to cause myself to push my own priorities out of the picture, or to keep my goal and my vision in the china cabinet and not take them out of the china cabinet and put them on the table and eat out of them? So we need to prioritize. Number three, take small steps. This is very important. I'm guilty of this too. I want the whole hog. Whatever I see in my head, and I'm a dreamer. That's a part of my personality. I am a dreamer. I could think about ideas and create and brainstorm from here to Jabim. And a lot of people would call on me to do it. Like, let me run this by you, or let me pick your brain, because they know once they just set me off, I'm off and running, and just, what about this? And what about this? And what about this? And what about this? But when you do that, you tend to sometimes, again, get into overwhelm. And then that's when you procrastinate and you say, well, oh boy, I can't finish this, or I can't start this because I have all this other stuff going on, or I have all this other stuff that I need to do. So take it small. On the first night, I talked about my woes with my weight. That sounds like a book too, my woes with my weight. And I just had to realize I can't take it on all at once. I know myself, and let me commit to something small first. So yes, they may say you need to go to the gym or exercise 3 to 5 days a week. If you could only get in 2 days consistently, do the 2 days. If you know that drinking water is your issue, then just commit to drinking 1 extra glass of water a day. It doesn't have to be these huge mammoth undertakings that cause us to shrivel up and give up. Take small steps. Commit to something small and do it. Take action and do it. And number 4, eliminate distractions. That helps with your commitment. When you have phones going off, or you're on social media and scrolling, we know how the time just disappears when you're doing those things. So eliminate, and notice I didn't say minimize. Eliminate distractions. Get rid of them. A friend of mine is a time management guru, and he refers to it as a strategy to help you to manage time is to time block. And I'm still working on this, on mastering this. But when you can time block, that means you can set aside a certain amount of time, whether that's an hour or 2 hours. But remember, we're talking about taking small steps. So it may just be a half hour or an hour. Set your timer in your phone. I am going to focus on this for the next hour. And you just focus on that, eliminate the distractions, put that phone far away from you, turn off everything else, or whatever it is that you need to do to focus. Because for me, sometimes quiet works. Sometimes I need music or something to stimulate. It depends on what I'm working on. If I have to think, anything that I have to write or process mentally, then I need a measure of quiet. But I need my surroundings to be stimulated, right? So I'm the type of person that I need quiet, but I may have my door open, or I may have the window open, so that I can still see movement and activity, and it stimulates my brain and my thinking. So you have to really, it's about self-awareness and knowing yourself, knowing who you really are, and knowing what you want, so that you can give your best to your dreams and your goals. And so finally, our coaching moment for the night. Remember, we recognize, reframe, and reset. And so number 3, we want to get fully committed. How do we get fully committed and not inconsistent in pursuing our vision, our purpose? We need to acknowledge when you are not committed or consistent. So again, I am here. What's happening? What's going on? Where are you? What are you doing? What are you not doing? And let's get about it, right? Let's see what it is that I need to do to really maximize my life. When am I not committed? When am I not consistent? And then disrupt that pattern. So if you realize that certain things may trigger your inconsistency, you know what would trigger my inconsistency with my whole weight journey is actually when I start to lose weight. Now that may sound crazy, hey. But when I start to lose weight, when I start to see success, that's when I relax my discipline and my commitment. Because I feel like, all right, because the first few weeks, maybe that first month is hard. You slugging it hard, you doing everything, and you might just lose a pound here, a pound there. You're like, oh, and then you hit that zone where it just start coming on. You start getting fit. You start, your stamina, your stamina building, and you're getting your rhythm, and that's when things start moving. You start seeing that shape start cutting, and you start seeing little firming up and all this stuff, and that, my dear friends, that is the start of my downfall to inconsistency. Because what do I start doing? I feel like, oh, I lost 5-10 pounds. I have the wiggle room to eat that ice cream. I have the wiggle room to eat that KFC snack. I have a little bit of wiggle room I need to exercise this week, man. I got it. I got this. And that's how we get into inconsistency. And guess what? That pattern continues to build and to build. And that one ice cream turns into ice cream every weekend. Then it turns into having a frosty or fast food couple days a week. And before you know it, you have unraveled everything that you were working on and that you were committed to. So you have to disrupt that pattern. So when you feel that tendency, whatever that is, to cause you to be inconsistent, to cause you to not be committed, disrupt it. And when I say disrupt it, it means that you have to do something completely opposite from what your gut or your inclination is pushing you to do. Because that's the old you. That's your default setting that is trying to take over. It doesn't want the new you to be successful. Remember, I told y'all, I think that was yesterday, that it's a war. There is a battle going on the inside of you. And the old you does not want the new you to emerge. It wants to keep the new you, or the real you, I should say, not the new you. That you, that life shaped, is not the real you of who you were when you were released to this earth. That's the person that's struggling to get out. And so that other you doesn't want the real you to get out. Because what it means is a different level of commitment, a different level of living, a different level of relationship and relating to others. Everything about you will change when you fully commit. Trust me. And that is what that other you is fighting. Because that other you is comfortable. And comfort is the enemy of your success. Comfort is the enemy of your success. And so you have to disrupt that pattern of inconsistency, reframe that. Whatever it is that you find that is your tendency to do the opposite. Counteract yourself. Shift that default until you reset that and you create a new default. Keep practicing until you have created a new habit of consistency and commitment. Last night, I shared that you need to get support when you have a habit of procrastinating. You need someone who's going to hold you accountable. The same holds true for when you are inconsistent. Sometimes you need somebody in your life who is going to tell you, hey, come now, what you doing here now? What are your goals? What were you working on? Let me know exactly what you were doing so I could hold you accountable. Does that make sense? And so, just to recap again, we want to make sure that we are fully committed, fully invested in our dream, and in ourself. We want to say yes to ourselves. We want to say, hey, I got this. I can do this. Okay? We want to be able to, at the end of the day, say, I'm not going to sabotage my own success. I am not going to allow inconsistency to stop me from being successful. So this is night number 3. Thing number 3, success blocker number 3, inconsistency. We are eliminating that from our lives. We are going to make a commitment to ourselves. I say yes to me. That's our mantra, right? I say yes to me. I choose me. I choose me. I say yes to me. That's right, Vanessa. I am not going to sabotage my own success. Okay. Thank you so much. Yes. We don't want to be inconsistent anymore. So thank you so much for being a part of this. I don't want to keep these sessions very long. I just want us to hit what we need to hit and keep going at it, because we're going to be doing this all week. And y'all know I like to talk. So yes, Deaja said, I say yes to me. That's what we're committing to. It's not about anything else. It's about you, your commitment to you. Do you believe that you're worth it? Do you believe that you deserve it? Do you believe that this is destined for you? If you believe that, then you're going to say yes to you. You are going to commit to you. Yes, I choose me. And this is not selfish. This means that I value myself so much, and I value the things that I am committed to, that I'm going to honor it. The same way we can put them dishes in that cabinet, the same way we have that special outfit or them special shoes or that special piece of jewelry, that we could cherish that. And we can make sure have a special place in the closet or a special place somewhere to protect and honor that. Listen, I saw a quote one time that said, if you would only love yourself the way you love other people, you'll be better off. I know that wasn't exactly how the quote went. That's my version of the quote. But that's the message. Love yourself the way that you commit to everybody and everything else. Put that energy and effort into you. You know, when I got this revelation was not long ago, maybe about 3 or 4 weeks ago. And I was, one Saturday, I kid you not, if I didn't put 10 to 12 hours into stuff for other people that entire day. I just went from one event to the next, one thing to the next. I got to the end of the day, I was completely drained. And when I reflected, because I always do that, I always reflect. And I'm like, what did you do for yourself today? Why are you so tired? And it was like all sorts of bells went off for me. I said, now, what if you had put 10 hours into Simone Elbow, the Limitless Life Coach? What if you had put 10 straight, solid, non-stop hours, not stopping to eat, not stopping to go to the bathroom of y'all? I just being real with y'all now. What if you had put 10 hours into yourself? That was a wake-up call for me. And it's not that I was doing anything bad. Everything that I was doing was positive. Everything were great things. And I'm helping all these other people. But I'm not helping myself. My priorities were conflicted. Showing up for everybody, but not showing up for me. We have to be able to love ourselves better, to really show ourselves the same level of care and concern. For those of us that are single, some of us happy being single, but some of us are like, I want somebody to love me a certain way and this and that, whatever. Listen, it's the truth. We need to learn to love ourselves. And it's more than just taking yourself out on a date, being able to sit in a restaurant by yourself and eat, go to the movies by yourself. That's good, but it's more than that. It's about digging into these things on the inside that cause us to sabotage our own success. And so let's get committed, fully committed to ourselves and to all of the things that we desire for ourselves. So tune in tomorrow night. We are going to be at the halfway mark, number 4 of the 8 things that we do to block our own success. I'll probably have some other surprises or giveaways or something for you tomorrow night. If you haven't already, you can go ahead and get the free guide, your journaling guide, to help you stop procrastinating. And in actual fact, I will have all of this compiled in an ebook for you that will be available by the time we're done with this 8 things. And so that will also be a good help to you as you stay grounded and committed and working through this stuff, because it doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen overnight. You really got to put in the work, and sometimes it takes a lot, and sometimes you fall back, you regress. It's almost like an addiction, like any addiction. And so if you know that you can't put yourself in a position where you're going to fall weak, it's just like anything else. Trust me. It's just like anything else. Hi, cousin. I see my cousin there, Deidre. How you doing? Thank you, everyone, for all of you who have tuned in. Those of you who have been signing on with us every night, or you've been checking the replays. Thank you so much for all of your comments, for being engaged and giving your feedback and participating in this, because that's what really makes it worth the while, when you can enjoy it and you can actually take it in and apply it to your life. So I look forward to seeing you tomorrow night and for the rest of the time. Hey, Linda, good to see you. Put in time for yourself with yourself. I know that's right. That is most important. So have a good night, y'all, and I will see you tomorrow night. Take care.